I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so scared. Time out. If you know, you know. For those of you who don't, I'm quoting a classic Saved by the Bell line from Jessie Spano. She admits to being overwhelmed and hooked on caffeine pills to handle the pressure she puts on herself. If you didn't know, Google it after the show. No pills here, but I have had 2 cups of coffee today and a venti iced brown sugar oat milk shake and espresso. I'm a firstborn daughter, an Enneagram 3W2, perfectionist, overachiever, type A, struggling to enter recovery people pleaser. But also the little girl who just dreamed of being a mama one day. I wanted to pour all my energy into motherhood. So, let's go back. Let's meet high school Cara. Cheerleader, student council, student paper writer. If there was an advanced class, I took it. Hamilton Southeastern High School wasn't quite Bayside High, and even though I was doing all the things, I knew there was so much more I wanted from life. I wanted to build relationships, help others, make everyone around me happy, but most importantly, experience big love and raise a family. The universe had a funny way of preparing high school Cara for all that I wished for. It was the summer of 1999. I was working one of my 2 part-time jobs, Harbor Tan and Geist. Yep. You know, putting this palm tree sticker or maybe even a Playboy bunny on your midriff was all the rage for the tan line. I know, some of you did that too. Yes, me too. Anyway, I was at the desk and one of our regulars finished up a session and walked out without saying bye. For the sake of our story, we're gonna call him Larry. Larry always did a stand-up bed. If you've worked at a tanning salon, you can appreciate that. Wiping down the walls of a stand-up bed is so much easier than the potential pool of sweat you might find in a lay-down bed. Or so I thought until that evening. I started walking down the hall to his room. The door was closed. Larry never closed the door when he was done. I get a little closer. And there's a real smell in the air. The odor was pretty strong, and I wasn't to the door yet. I was terrified to open it, but I was the only one there, so I had to. Do you know what splatter painting is? That is the most accurate description I can give you of what I saw when I opened that door. It was like someone had splatter painted the entire room brown. Yes, shit was everywhere. Remember those stand-up bed walls that I said were easier to clean? Shit was on them. It was on the real walls too. You know, stand-up beds, they have holes in the bases. It was in the holes and on the base. It was on the carpet. Tanning beds have those giant coils where you plug them in, those electrical cords. Yeah, shit was in them too. And if I thought there could not possibly be any more, it was in the trash can too. I was facing a real-life shitstorm. Sorry, Mom. So today, we take a pic, text a friend, post it all over social media. Anything to share the experience, right? But it's 1999. No cell phone. I was facing this thing alone. Maybe it was the universe's way of saying if you want to be a mama, you need to be prepared to handle some major blowouts. I just didn't expect the first one I battled to be from a grown man. So that desire to overachieve and become a mama wasn't deterred by this incident and influenced many of my decisions throughout the rest of high school and college. I was the girl who always had a long-term boyfriend. I had 5 serious relationships between high school and my Ball State days. They were all at least a year long, and most of them taught me things I did not want from a real relationship. I took packed course loads, joined a sorority, met amazing friends, and really lived life. After college, I moved back to Indy, and shortly after started working at my current employer. Then, with the amazing help of my mom, I was able to buy my first house in Fishers. I felt like I had made it through step 1 of my Type A life plan. The dream of being back in Fishers, finding the one, having babies, and raising a family in this amazing community I grew up in was actually going to happen. Then 2011, and God laughs at my plans, or so I thought. Following much hard work and people-pleasing my way through several roles within the organization, I was asked to move to Champaign, Illinois for a promotion. After a lot of reflection and time spent convincing myself that I wasn't giving up on my dream, I decided to take the leap and move to this city where I didn't know anyone at all. It was only 2 hours away. The first couple of months were pretty darn lonely, but in May of that year, I met Luke. We were in 2 completely different places in life. My career was thriving, and when he would introduce himself to my friends, he would tell them he was in the oil business. He's 6.5 years younger, and at the time was still in school and working at a gas station. Yep, not quite the oil business. But he was the best person I'd ever met. He didn't have any of those things that I had learned I didn't want, and we had a very similar outlook on life and future goals. He is definitely the calm to my crazy, the chill to my tendency to overcommit, so thank goodness I took that leap. I can't even imagine what life would be like had I tried to stick with the original plan. In 2013, we got married, and when my amazing maid of honor, my sister, rapped her entire wedding toast to "Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster," my favorite lyric was, "Baby Nug stepping up today." I'm so lucky that no matter how many times I commit to something I really don't have time for or take on something new, I'm not doing it alone. He may not always agree with me, and he might wish I said no a little or a lot more often, but he always supports me. I have never had to face another shitstorm alone. Life has been full of so many amazing moments, but like anyone, we have had to weather our fair share of storms, other storms. Being cougar adjacent isn't always easy. I wanted babies really badly, and my clock was ticking. He, on the other hand, had all the time in the world. So naturally, we compromised, and we started to grow our family immediately, or started trying. 2014 was one of those years that felt like whenever we got through one of life's storms, another one was already brewing. It was New Year's Eve. We're at our friend's house. Luke decides, hey, let's jump off a 12-foot platform on the kids' play structure with a rope swing. Good idea. The branch holding the swing snapped, and Luke fell hard. Have you been to the ER really early on New Year's Day morning? Yeah, it's what you can imagine. It's a mess. And the assumption is if you're there, you did something dumb under the influence. So, sober or not, we caught all the dirty looks from the doctors. The fall was pretty bad. He had a compression fracture of the T12 vertebrae, and after a few days laying flat on his back in the hospital, identified as a fall risk, he was lucky to leave in just a giant hard brace for the next 4 months. A few days after leaving the hospital, we finally got a positive pregnancy test. 6 months of trying had felt like an eternity to me. We were over the moon. With a family trip to Mexico already scheduled, we couldn't wait to celebrate in paradise, even if it meant one of us was stuck in a giant back brace for the entire trip and had to take a few extra painkillers to make it through the flight. We thought our storm had passed, but like the weather in Indiana, you just never know. Sadly, I miscarried while we were in Mexico, and miscarriage is hard, and having it happen in a foreign country definitely didn't make it any easier. We hadn't told anyone but my little sister that we were pregnant, so we didn't share the miscarriage news with anyone else either. Of course, Luke was supportive. He is always a rock. We were in it together, but that giant back brace was between us, keeping us apart, and kept it so we weren't actually even able to hug. That made it a little extra lonely. By July of that year, we were feeling like we had weathered a lot, but still so grateful to have each other. Then, we lost one of our very best friends, a bridesmaid in our wedding, tragically and unexpectedly. She was an amazing mother, wife, sister, daughter, and friend. It was unimaginable and unexplainable. It is the greatest loss I've experienced, but I'm such a better person because she was in my life. In September, finally some good news. We were pregnant again. And I know in my heart, this was my friend working a miracle from heaven. She knew how much I wanted to be a mama. We had talked so much about it. So in May of 2017, our amazing Brecken arrived, and becoming a mama was everything I dreamed of. That little dude's pretty perfect. Being the type A planner I am, I really wanted to have our children 2 to 3 years apart, schedule everything. So when the window arrived, we started trying again. This time, we were surprised because it didn't take long. Our sweet Eleanor was born 2 years and 24 days after Brecken. She came along when she did for a reason. My 6-week postpartum checkup was the beginning of a series of appointments that led to a cervical cancer diagnosis. While I feel super fortunate, I didn't have to undergo chemo or radiation. My treatment plan included a hysterectomy. Losing the ability to have more kids wasn't something I planned on, and I mourned that loss pretty hard. I did receive a clean bill of health, and we are blessed with 2 amazing kiddos. They fill our lives with so much joy. While my brain knew this, my heart still hurt for what couldn't be. And it took time for me to heal and accept that we were done growing our little family. Through it all, Luke remained strong and supportive. I'll say it again, I can't imagine life without him. But there's no rest for a firstborn daughter. I quickly took on 3 more roles within my organization, and for the last 5 years have reported directly to our CEO as a director of marketing. In 2021, we experienced a COVID blessing and were able to move back to Fishers, where I have been working remotely ever since. Luke was able to find a new job. It's actually right around the corner from here as a software engineer. He's come a long way since the oil business. Since returning home, I have proudly taken on many new roles. Soccer mama, cheer mom, PTO co-president, and I really think those are my best roles ever. Weathering those real-life shitstorms together allowed me to achieve my ultimate goal of family and mama. We get to raise our kiddos 5 minutes from my parents in a community I grew up in. Our kiddos are truly living their best lives, and we are surrounded by the best people. Jessie Spano may have quit her caffeine pills, but I'm gonna keep doing all the things. So don't take my coffee or my spicy margaritas with the incredible ladies throughout the room that support my habit of never saying no. No matter what shit comes my way, when surrounded with the people I love, it is a lot easier to handle.